Let's graph this exponential function. G of x is equal to 4 times e to the x plus 2, subtract 2. We want to recall our basic function, or a simpler exponential function. A simpler exponential function would simply be f of x is equal to e to the x. And of course, we have a nice picture for that. So here's an x-axis, and here's a y-axis. The key there is, if you look at it as this, f of x is equal to e to the x plus 0, this in some ways gives you the horizontal asymptote. So the horizontal asymptote here is equal to y equals 0. Why don't I highlight that? Y equals 0. So horizontal asymptote here. And when x is 0, we know that the output is 1. So it has a nice y-intercept. And a graph of an exponential function, that is actually f of x. Now our goal is to graph g of x. So following these patterns, we could see a lot of nice things about g of x. First of all, we want to identify the horizontal asymptote. So if you just look right here, we know that the horizontal asymptote is y is equal to -2. So we're going to need that. The other thing we're going to need is a couple of ordered pairs. A simpler ordered pair would be picking on x to be -2. So why don't we find g of -2? G of -2 is going to equal to 4 times e to the what? -2 plus 2. So that's e to the 0 power minus 2. But e to the 0 power is what? That is just 1. So that's just 4 minus 2. G of -2 is simply going to be 2. That gives you an ordered pair. Ordered pair is -2, 2. Why don't we find another ordered pair? Let's try x to be -1. So why don't we find g of -1? G of -1 is equal to 4 times e minus 2. So there's another ordered pair, -1 and then 4e minus 2. Let's go ahead and put these ordered pairs in a t-chart. Our t-chart here, why don't we use g of x so that you don't get it confused with f of x. So our t-chart, we have -2, 2, and then we have -1 and 4e minus 2. You could either type that into a calculator or you could approximate it. Remember, e is about what? E is really about 2.7. So in some cases, it might help you to just round that to 3. And if you round that to 3, well, that looks like it's going to be 12 minus 2, so around 10. Probably a little bit less than 10, so it's probably 9 point something. I am going to go ahead and type this in the calculator just to be more accurate. So let's do 4 times e and then subtract 2. Turns out 4e minus 2 is about, is equal to 8.873127 ... So why don't we round that to 8.9 or 9? Yeah, say it's 8.9, right? For graphing purposes, it's going to be good enough to round that to 8.9. Another good ordered pair to find would actually be the y-intercept. Kind of makes sense to do that, right? What if x was 0? What would the output be? It would be 4e squared minus 2. So that's another good ordered pair to pick on. Let me round that off really quick. I'm going to go ahead and type e squared in my calculator, multiply it by 4, and then subtract 2, and we get this to be 27.556. Obviously, that is a pretty large number. Now, when you're graphing this, it always helps to have some graph paper and a straight edge. Doesn't hurt. And it looks like, draw my axes here. Looks like I'm primarily in what? Quadrants 1 and 2. Draw another axis there. Let me put the ruler somewhere so that it's not in my way. Negative 2, 2. So here's negative 2. And here's 2. But the first thing I want to do is actually graph the horizontal asymptote, because that's going to help. It's always nice to put sort of your boundaries in place, because if you put your boundaries in place, you know that the exponential function is going to approach that horizontal asymptote. I apologize, that doesn't look right. That looks like 3 units. And I really meant to do what? I really meant to do 2 units down. Let's try that again. That's better. So let's put our horizontal asymptote in. That is y equals negative 2. Let's go ahead and plot some ordered pairs. We have negative 2, 2. And we also have negative 1 and 8.9. So I'm actually right about here already. About 8.9 is about there. And do your best. It's very likely going to shoot up like this. And then it approaches the horizontal asymptote like that. So there's your graph. Make sure you label some ordered pairs. Label your horizontal asymptote. Very important. So what am I going to circle here for details? I'm going to circle the ordered pairs. Circle your graph. Circle your horizontal asymptote. And there's an answer.